Welcome to Transcendental Basis Base of Vedic Knowledge Initiation Exposure. Today, as Glimpse-5, we will be face to face with Yama letters. There are 8 Yama letters. These Yama letters accept association of values 9 to 16. These letters are having individual distinct designations, names. First is Anuswar, second is Anunasik, third is Tripundram, fourth is Kund, fifth is Visarjaniya, sixth is Updhamaniya, then Jivamulya, and then Shikha Akash. These 8 Yama letters are having TCV values 9 to 16. This range of values 9 to 16 take us to summation value 100. However, the formulations of designations of these 8 Yama letters, namely Anuswara, Anunasik, Tripundram, Kund, Visarjaniya, Updhamaniya, Jivamulya, Shikha Akash, are having TCV values 28, 52, 40, 30, 47, 56, 63 and 29, making grand summation value 345. We have been in the previous session exposed to quadruple Anthastha letters Shara Lava having association of values 1, 3, 5 and 7. Further, we have been exposed to quadruple Ushmana letters Sh, Sa, Shah, Ha of TC values 2, 3, 6 and 9. Today we shall be exposing ourselves to and will be face to face with the interrelationship and coordination of these quadruple Anthastha letters, quadruple Ushmana letters and 8 Yama letters. This coordination of these 16 letters is, as we have seen, that 5 cross 5 grid of 25 Varga consonants as such leads us to 16 grid zones. These 16 grid zones as such are making a format for these 16 letters Anthastha, Ushmana and Yama letters. These 16 grid zones are having their centers. Now, these being the centers of the squares, and as such, these centers are going to be the seats of solid origins. We know that 3 space is playing the role of origin of 2 space. Therefore, these origins, centers of these 16 grid zones as such are the seats of the solid origins. It is this feature which will help us appreciate to see that within 3 space we know each surface is having a pair of faces. This surface is having single face in 2 space, while in 3 space each surface is having a pair of faces. It is face 1 and it is face 2. These pair of faces, as such, we can note that these are having a pulp, a content which is of 0 value. It is 0 value content which is coordinating pair of faces of a surface. Therefore, this 0 volume as such is a seat of solid origin. The solid origin of 2 space, a seat at center of the grid zone, is a cube at a 0 value. It is this 0 value cube which becomes, this is this 0 value cube, now cube at a value 0. It is this 0 value cube which provides us a point, a structured point. This structured point is the symbol, is the script form of the first Yama letter. The first Yama letter is a value 0. We know within a square we can have a line as well as square both. Therefore, within it we can have value 1 as well as value 2. Further, as this line and square are within a square, as such these will be of the format 1 into 1 and 2 into 2. It is this value which further will take us to this as a volume. This volume gives us a value 1 plus 8 is equal to 9. It is this value 9 which is equal to 3 square. Further, we know that 3-dimensional frame permits a split into a pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions. This split of a 3-dimensional frame as a pair of 3-dimensional array would mean a release of a 4 space as a origin. We know 4 space is having 9 geometries range. These features as such get simultaneously evolved at this seat of an origin. Therefore, this point, this structure is as such is a structured point. Yama is having a first expression as a structured point. This structured point is accepting an association of value 9. It is this feature that there needs a 9 points fixation. 9 points fixation is the feature in terms of which a cube, which is a setup of 8 corner points with the 9th as a center. Therefore, the center of the cube is as such a fixation setup of 9 points. This value 9 is being attached with the first Yama letter, and sequentially we reach up till the value 16. Let us sit comfortably and let us revisit these features and let us tabulate them, and let us start approaching Yama letters one by one. The first Yama letter, which is a structured point, which is also of value 9, and it is as such is having a formulation Anuswara, which is of TC value 28, and value 28 we know is the value of the second perfect number. Therefore, it is this second perfect number with which there is going to be a structural format of the Yama letters. The structural format of the Yama letters begins with value 28, and we know value 9 is designated as Nav, and it is a Nav Brahm. Therefore, it is this value of a Nav Brahm which is the basic structural key to reach at the format of the first Yama letter, in fact sequentially of the whole range of Yama letters. We know that we begin with the first Yama letter as a Anuswara, as a Bindu Sarovar, as a point, structured point, and it is accepting a value 9, and it also as designation Anuswara is taking us to value 28, and from 9 to as a Nav Brahm. So it is this feature of a Nav Brahm which deserves to be comprehended well to be face to face with the organization, format, features and values of the Yama letters. Nav Brahm is the feature, Nav Brahm is the value, Nav Brahm is the format, and it is value 9 and value 28. Value 9 is the TCV value attached with the first Yama letter, and it as its formulation and swara is taking us to value 28. Like that, let us now reach at the second formulation. It is Anunasik. This Anunasik is taking us to value 52. However, the TCV value of the second Yama letter is 10. So it is this value and it is this reach from value 9 from a Bindu Sarovar to this form. We can have a pause and see that we are beginning with the center of a sphere, and then we are reaching at the half of a sphere, part of a sphere. Therefore, initially we are at a center, and then center starts unfolding itself, and this unfolding process of the sphere, of its structures, is being taken as to be approached in terms of Vyas. And Vyas we know is of value 14, and its pairing with itself is of value 28. Therefore, we have to go by 2 as 1 and 1 as a 2 as a unit, which is available only in a creator's space, a 4 space. These are the features which are at work. These are the features which are coming into play. Therefore, one shall sit comfortably and very gently, sequentially, step by step, one shall approach from formulation Anuswara to formula Anunasik, then to Tripundaram, Kund, Visarjaniya, Updamaniya, Jivamulya and Shikha Akash. We see the end reach value is going to be at value 29. Further, we know that value 28 is the TC value of a Brahm, while value 29 is the TC value of Brahma. Therefore, it is this reach from Brahm to Brahma which is going to be the reach of the Yama letters. Let us sit comfortably and let us permit the transcending wide with this feature of the Yama letters, beginning with Brahm as a point, as a Nav Brahm, as a structured point, and reaching up till the value 29, which is going to the value of a Brahma. Further, we know that 9 is equal to 3 square, while 16 is equal to 4 square. So that way we can see that we are reaching from 3 square to 4 square, and formulation wise we are reaching from value 28 to 29, and concept wise we are reaching from Brahm to Brahma. It is this reach which deserves to be comprehended well. One shall sit comfortably and to permit the transcending mind to face with these features of the Yama letters. Now, Before we proceed further, it would be blissful that let us begin with the Ushmana letters. The first Ushmana letter is Sha. We know Sha is of TC value 2, and 2 takes us to 2 space. From 2 space we reach at 2 space content. The 2 space content takes us to 2 space as a domain, and with 2 space domain we reach at its first role as a 2 space as dimension fold. This is taking us to 4 space, as 2 space is playing the role of dimension of a 4 space, and we know 4 space is playing the role of an origin of 3 space. The origin of 3 space is 4 space. As such, at this seat, at the center of the cube, there is going to be a spatial order. So letter Sha, first Ushmana letter, is the letter which is having its placement at the center of the cube. Now, this transcendence means it will be reaching the volume of the cube, and volume of the cube would mean we are reaching a linear order, as one space is playing the role of dimension of 3 space, and here there is a transcendence. It is of 2 space because 2 space plays the role of the dimension of a 4 space. Now it amounts to a superimposition. This linear order gets superimposed by a spatial order. It means a 2 gets superimposed upon 1. This superimposition would mean that we will be having a 3-dimensional frame of 3 linear axes getting superimposed by the spatial formats. So it will make a format of triple planes. Triple spatial dimensions will be available with this superimposition, and this triple spatial dimensions as such will be cutting the cube into 8 subcubes. It is a 3-dimensional space getting split as 8 octants, and these 8 octants means cube is splitting into 8 subcubes and it is taking us to this setup that at the center there is a 4 space which is of a spatial order, transcendence of a spatial order as such splits the domain volume into 8, and these resile back to the boundary and these envelop the 4 space. Therefore, the transcendence phenomenon of the, the first Ushmana letter and the transcendence phenomenon is in fact taking us to the creation of a 4 space. Now it is this creation of a 4 space would mean firstly we are creating 3 space in the role of a dimension, 2 space in the role of the dimension, and 3 space in the role of a boundary. Now solid boundary and the spatial dimensional order is going to be available. With it, this stage reaches that the 4 space as such is a space which is having 5 space in the role of an origin. This 5 space we know is of a solid order. This solid dimensional order, that means at the center of 4 space there is going to be a transcendence phenomenon as much as that the solid order is transcending and getting superimposed upon the spatial order. It is this reach that now we are having a reversal. Now the second Ushmana letter, Sha, this second letter with its transcendence at the seat of the origin of a 4 space will create a phenomenon, and this phenomenon would mean that this 3-dimensional frame will split into a pair of 3-dimensional frames. It is this phenomenon of a split of a three-dimensional frame into a pair of three-dimensional frames will help us appreciate that it is here where we are having the script form of the second Ushmana letter. Further, we know that 1 over 1 plus 1 over 1 plus 1 over 1 is the linear order setup, and 2 over 2, 2 over 2 and 2 over 2 is the spatial setup. Therefore, the first Ushmana letter as a transcendence phenomenon at the seat of the origin of three space is amounting to superimposition of a spatial order upon the linear order, and as a result the three space splits into 8 octants, cube splits into 8 subcubes, and as a result there emerges a 4 space domain at the center of the cube. This 4 space domain itself is having 5 space in the role of an origin. And the second transcendence phenomenon, the first phase transcendence phenomenon of the first Ushmana letter of TC value 2 has resulted into a creation of a 4 space at the center of a cube. Now, the second transcendence phenomenon, the second phase of transcendence phenomenon will amount to the split of a solid dimensional frame, 3 space domain itself, into a pair of 3-dimensional frames within a 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions. One shall sit comfortably and permit the transcending mind to be face to face with this particular feature, that the first transcendence phenomenon along the format of the first Ushmana letter amounts to the creation of a 4 space at the origin of the cube. This creation of a 4 space at the origin of a 3 space results into a split of a 3 space into 8 octants, and these 8 octants are the 8 subcubes of a cube. These 8 subcubes constitute a solid boundary of 8 components of the hypercube 4. Now, hypercube 4 is having 3 space in the role of the solid dimension of 5 space origin. Now, the second phenomenon of the format of the second Ushmana letter saw of TC value 3 as a result amounts to a split of a 3-dimensional frame into a pair of 3-dimensional frames. Let us sit comfortably. Let us recapitulate. Let us revisit the attainments. The attainment of the first transcendence along the format of the first Ushmana letter is a creation of a spatial dimensional 4 space at the center of a linear order 3 space. The second phase is that the spatial domain created with solid dimensional origin will result into a split of the order, solid order itself. The split of a solid order will amount to a split of a 3-dimensional frame into a pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions. A step ahead, the third Ushmana letter. This third Ushmana letter is of TC value 6. This is going to be the format now. The 3-dimensional frame splits into a pair of 3-dimensional frames of half dimensions, and the 3 domain itself as well amounts to a split into a pair of these solid slabs. These are prisms. These pair of prisms are created. Now, this creation of a pair of prisms is the phenomenon of the third phase and stage of the transcendence phenomenon along the format of a third Ushmana letter, which would mean along the format of a prism. This third transcendence phenomenon along the format of the prism deserves to be seen as 3, 4, 5 and 6. 3 space as dimension is taking up 6 space as an origin. Therefore, now at this stage 6 space goes to play the role of an origin, and it is going to be play the role of an origin of 5 space. Therefore, the 6 space as origin of 5 space is the reach. See, initially we started with 3 space at its origin, and we had reached at 4 space at its origin, and now we are reaching at third stage at the origin of a 5 space. Therefore, the first Ushmana lattice formate, second Ushmana lattice formate, and third Ushmana lattice formate. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well, as at the next step we will be reaching at the fourth Ushmana lattice formate, which is of a value 9. Now we know, as 3 space as dimension is taking us to 6 space as origin, so 6 space now as a dimension will be taking us at 9 space as an origin. It is this reach, it is this achievement, it is this format which deserves to be comprehended well. Therefore, the quadruple Ushmana letters as the transcendence formats are sequentially taking us to the origin of a 3 space, then to origin of a 4 space, origin of a 6 space, and then to origin of a 9 space. See, this as such makes us a value 22, and it is this value 22 which is the value of 4, 5, 6, 7 means of hypercube 6. That means entire this phenomenon of transcendence is happening along the format of a hypercube 6, that is the representative regular body of a 6 space. That means this is the transcendence phenomenon of our solar universe. As is happening a transcendence within our solar universe, so is the format features and values of the reach at the Yama letters in terms of the transcendence phenomenon. And this transcendence phenomenon with creation of the Yama letters is ultimately regulated at the Anthastha letters. It is how we have seen yesterday, and we can recapitulate that this transcendence phenomenon of the spatial order of the format of first Ushmana letter will, after exhausting 3 space domain, will be contained by the spatial boundary. Now this would be a reach up till this, but this spatial boundary itself is enveloped by a linear boundary. Therefore, this transcendence phenomenon as the end result will be resulting into one space in the role of a boundary, and we know 1 is the TC value of the first Anthastha letter. Like that, it is going to be a very blissful exercise to sequentially, gently, step by step, to chase the transcendence phenomenon along the quadruple Ushmana letters, and to have a reach at the creation of the Yama letters, Yama phenomenon in pairs. So the first Ushmana letter, a transcendence we reach up till the first Anthastha letter, is having in between a Yama domain of a pair of letters. And like that, these quadruple steps of transcendence with the upper limit as quadruple values of the Anthastha letters are having in between a domain, and it is going to be a domain of the 8 Yama letters. These are the features which are to be deserved, which are to be comprehended. One is to be face to face with it, and it is by imbibing these steps, it is by having a proper insight about these steps, and it is by being a parallel to the enlightenment of these steps, we will be parallel to the processing steps of the Vedic systems, availing Devanagari Varnamala as the basic starting point format, and at the end as well, these processes will take us back to the settlement, manifestation, and transcendence from the manifestation of the Devanagari Varnamala. This beginning and end at the same ment is the ultimate value of the Yama letters. It is this Shikha, Akasha Shikha, which is going to be the reach at the first Yama letter. We shall be taking up these values further from this stage onwards, and by it we will be ultimately reaching at the conclusion as that Vedic systems are successful to unify whole range of knowledge because of the availability of Devanagari Varnamala. Otherwise, we can say that Vedic systems are ultimately successful to settle and to have manifestation of the Devanagari Varnamala. It is this manifestation, or it is this transcendence, starting with Devanagari Varnamala and reaching at the Vedic systems, and starting with the Vedic systems and reaching at the Devanagari Varnamala is the same but of opposite orientation processing steps. It is in terms of it that we will be seeing that ultimately the vowels, which are 9 we have seen, and each of the vowel, first 5 vowels will be of 18 spectrum values, and then the last 4 will be of 12. This will be giving us value 138. We know that 345 is the value of the 8 Yama letters of formulations, and this together with will be leading us to 483, and we know 590 with value 64 of the creative dimension of the Sthapatya miring rod will be taking us to 583. The difference value 100 is the value which is the value of the TCV values of 9 Yama letters, that is 100. It is this way that this Devanagari Varnamala from Yama letters takes us back to the Swaras. So from Swaras to Vargas to Anthastha to Ushmanas to Yama, and then reaching to Swaras. This that way becomes a cyclic order, and it is this cyclic order which makes the Devanagari Varnamala format as well as the Vedic systems as of a cyclic systems unfolding from within. It is the sequential unfolding from within which is the inherent feature, and it is this inherent feature which we the sadhakas have to imbibe. Thank you very much.